I will be forever the myth.
You're the king of kings,
There's always a pecking order. The little packers never mess with the big packers. So I'm a rooster, and he's a chicken, so to speak.
So there's a couple other honorable mentions we should mention real quick. There's a freak out of Spain called Angel Calderon.
Yeah.
And he is absolutely...
He just won a pro show, right?
Yeah, well, he's won a few now.
Okay.
I think he won Romania. He won Portugal.
Okay.
He's won a few, but he'll be like the hardest guy in the show.
Mm-hmm.
He's got that crazy chest. His quads are all striated everywhere. He's really wide. He's short. I think he's around my height, but he's a tank. So I could see him being in the first call out. We recently just saw some updated photos of Ahmad Ashkenani.
Yeah.
Who is, he's doing his 17, 18, 19, 20. I think his fifth Olympia. And he's been second twice. He is, he fell back to fifth last year. I know he's had some injuries, but the photos that were posted just yesterday were pretty impressive. It was a front double bi.
Yeah.
And a side tricep, and he looks like he could be back to his old self, which would be very dangerous for here we go. I'm going to show you a picture.
Okay.
Here's a front double. I don't know if you can see it, but
oh yeah. His legs do look like they came up.
Right?
Yeah.
So that could be some magic mirror stuff, but who knows? He looks right on to me. So
he didn't do well the last time he was in the Olympia, right?
He did not. But, well, I mean, fifth. He was fifth. It's not second, but
yeah.
I mean, fifth in the world is not bad. But
his legs looked out of proportion, I think, the last time he did that, right?
Yeah, I think his legs have been an issue all along, but last year was even worse. I think he had a knee injury.
Okay.
And there was like little to zero separation in his legs.
Yeah.
So another guy who was top, I think fourth last year was John Jewett.
Okay. Yeah.
Nobody's talking about. We don't mention his name at all. He's another guy who could be in there.
Mm-hmm.
So we got a lot of guys. You got David Henry, Angel Calderon, Jewett. These guys are all going to be fighting and gunning for that spot. Yeah. I think I think the top four is locked up from those guys we've been saying.
Mm-hmm.
But right in there is an equally interesting battle with Calderon and Ashkenani and David Henry and John Jewett.
Yeah.
And, there's a few guys from overseas that are crazy impressive too, but I don't even think they're going to make it over. So,
yeah, right.
That's all. I know Guy Sestanino's doing it.
Oh,
Guy could be fighting for that, that spot with Ashkenani and David.
He's coming back from having COVID too earlier in the year.
He had COVID, he had syphilis, herpes, everything else you can imagine. Poor kid. He's but he's fighting. He's in great shape right now. David's. Guy is a little smaller than the other guys. He always has been, but he's a fighter. He comes in condition. He's a very good poser when it comes to posing routines, and so Guy will be in the mix.
Yeah, I like his attitude. I never met Guy, but I like when I hear his interviews and stuff. He's got a real fighting attitude.
Yeah, he don't care.
Yeah,
he knows. I don't have the genetics of David Henry or any of these guys, but I've worked my ass off to be able to compete against them for the last 12 years.
Yeah.
How many years? He turned pro in 2008.
Okay. Yeah. 12
you know?
Yeah.
He's done very well for himself.
Yeah. Hey, what do you think about Keon Pearson deciding to take off this year? Do you think that was a good move or not?
It's none of my business. I don't know what goes on in his head, you know. From what I've heard, it was a personal psychological issue. That either you know, it's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
Just like we were talking about with Derek earlier. Keon, you know, he from what he says out of his own mouth, he's got some demons. So this was a lot of stress.
Okay.
It was very stressful this year for him to get ready for the Chicago show, and then he just didn't have it in him to diet another 10 weeks or whatever it was.
Yeah.
So you know, God bless him. I hope everything's all right. I hope he gets the assistance that he needs to be able to move forward, because that physique is incredible.
Yeah, I thought he's got great improvement too from last year. Wow.
He's got star power written all over him.
Oh yeah.
Know?
Another one.
People love him. People
just like Derek with that great shape, that small waist, that great V taper.
Incredible. Unbelievable.
Yeah. But you know, like you said, that is, and these guys are all young. I mean, that's a lot of pressure, you know.
Yeah.
It's pressure if you're a young guy getting ready for a local show, you know. So you're getting ready for the Olympia, you're in the limelight. I mean, that's a lot of pressure.
It is. I feel bad for him, and I hope everything's on the mend, getting better. And you know, a lot of these guys could use a mentor, a positive mentor.
Yeah.
Someone in their life to help them sort it out, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I was lucky enough coming up that my older brother was always like, I don't care how good you are, you think you are, or whatever.
Yeah.
You're still always just going to be this dude, you know. So I never took myself too seriously with bodybuilding. I wanted to be the best I could, but I always tried to have outside interests, always tried to, you know, keep things into perspective.
Yeah.
I knew for sure I wasn't Jay Cutler, and that I wouldn't be buying Bentleys and Rolls Royces off of my bodybuilding lifestyle.
Right.
You know, so you know, a lot of these guys don't have proper advice. Someone looking over their shoulder, looking after them. So yeah, I don't know that with
doesn't have to be a bodybuilder either. It could just be someone that they trust who has a good head on their shoulders, you know. Exactly.
So
it's funny.
You know, I hope
you mentioned your brother Tito, because when I was growing up and I was competing as a teenager, I remember I'm very emotional, you know, and that's where I got a lot of my, I think, drive to compete in these shows. Was I was very emotional. But then when I lost, I would take it really hard, like it was the end of the world. And my brother, who's a year younger than me, is the opposite of me. He's very analytical and he's very logical. And he would talk to me, or I would talk to him, and he'd just explain it. He's like, "No big deal. You're a little bit off. You could have tried it a little harder. He goes, you'll be better next time." And I'm like, "Oh, yeah, now it makes sense." Because I would take it so emotionally, you know. But then when I talk to him, it would just be like so black and white. It would just make sense. So it's sometimes I think you just need someone like that in your life that you could talk to. I just thought when I heard Keon wasn't doing it, I thought it was a mistake, because I'm like, wow, he's looked so great. He made such great progress, but your head's got to be in the right spot, you know?
Right. It's his decision. So for people to say it's a mistake, there was a lot of social media going back and forth.
Yeah, that's the problem. I got social media. Everybody's got an opinion.
Yeah, I never commented on it, because I don't know what he's feeling. You know, I don't know what he's going through.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, at first glance, you would guess he had however many weeks to improve upon that look.
Yeah.
You would guess he'd have been in the money.
Yeah.
He'd have been, you know, possibly top 4.
Oh, yeah.
You know, he was that good.
Yeah.
But he's very young. He's got plenty of time. So, you know, fix your stuff and come back. That's all.
Yeah, I was thinking back in the past. I remember Lee Labrada, when he won the Universe in '85. I mean, everybody was like, wow, this guy's fantastic. He's going to be a great pro. And the very next year, he goes into Night of the Champions and he wins it, but he didn't do the Olympia that year. He just felt like, I need another year to improve. and he waited until 87 before he did his first Olympia. So
Wow.
you could take that year off. It's not going to ruin your career. You know, I mean, I know you only got so many years where you're going to be at your peak. But if you don't feel like you're ready or you're not mentally ready, which is a big part of it, then, yeah, just take another year.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we should move to the Open before this becomes a 3-part series.
Right. All right. So are you picking Phil at this? We're 3 weeks out now, or is that your prediction?
It's so hard, but yes.
Okay.
It's hard because I love Brandon Curry.
Yeah.
And I would go out on a limb and say he's one of the greatest ambassadors we've had in a long time.
Yeah.
And just because of his demeanor, his heart when you sit and talk to him, and you know, he's a father of 4 kids. He's given everything for his family and to be who he is. And one of the things that really, really touched me was the first thing he did. He wasn't home for more than 2 or 3 days. He ended up at a park at a football practice with his Sandow trophy.
Yeah,
showing it and explaining to the local kids, you know, what it takes to get there, the amount of discipline, hard work.
Yeah.
You know, I grew up just like you guys right here. And if you really want something, you know, you go get it and you can get it. And you know, it was amazing. I just think he's one of the. So for me, it's hard to say, you know, that anyone is going to beat him. Now, let's go physique-wise.
Okay.
I say structurally, he's better than Phil.
I agree.
Structurally, when you talk wide shoulders, small hips,
nice muscle
his
shape.
silhouette is prettier than Phil's.
Yeah.
Now that where it changed, and they're almost about the same size now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're probably going to compete within 8 to 10 pounds of each other. I would say, you know, say they're both going to be on stage in the 240 to 250 range.
Right.
And Phil might be 2 inches taller than him.
Oh, really? Okay.
I believe Phil's 5'9" and Brandon's 5'7".
Okay.
Something like that, or 5, maybe an inch and a half. I'd say.
Yeah.
I know Phil's taller.
Okay.
So now you go to condition. Phil's condition is something that not many people can duplicate, you know, and it's not even. It's like a genetic thing, like. I've been backstage with him many times, like, because he didn't really like to hang out with the open guys. He'd be in the back room with the 212 guys.
Oh, really?
Sleeping.
Uh-huh.
He'd be sleeping on the floor next to us, and then he would get up when it was his turn, and you just wouldn't even do a whole ton of pumping. You just look in the mirror and look at his leg, and you're like, what the hell? Like, it is just crazy, the amount of deep striations and lines, his hamstrings, and it just doesn't even make sense. So nobody can come close to that.
I remember when Ronnie made his comeback about 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And that's what he said too. He was backstage. He's like, wow. He goes, I had no idea Phil was that good, you know, especially his legs. Yeah. The hamstrings, the glutes, all that from the back. It's just crazy.
Yeah. Phil is something else. And so that's why I would say, you know, he's hungry. He wants it back. It's his. He wants number 8. And it'd be hard pressed. So now here's the thing: did he get that stomach fixed?
Right. That's the question. That's $1 million.
And here's another thing that, for a few years, Phil was getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and his physique was not getting better and better and better.
Right.
You know, I would say like a 234-pound, 235-pound Phil Heath is like the David Henry I mentioned earlier. Mm-hmm. Is untouchable.
Yeah.
Is unbeatable. Phil Heath at 235 or less, 233, whatever, is unbeatable. It's because what do you think he weighed in 2011, 2012, 2013? That's when everyone was completely mind blown by him.
Right.
Because his aesthetics were just incredible. Everything flowed perfectly, and he had the perfect amount of size for his frame.
Right.
You never heard a damn thing about Phil's midsection until you started hearing, Phil's 252. Phil's 248, 252, 253. Well, that's when you started hearing about the stomach issues.
Yeah.
So you get the stomach repaired, and then what? You come back again at 250? I don't think that helps things. I think you revert back to where you were. Try to get back in that under 240, even if it's I don't know. I would just say 235, let's just say.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he's unbeatable. I think he's unbeatable.
What happened with his stomach, Jose? Was it hernia?
Yeah. It was supposedly strangulated, like really bad.
But
way worse.
Abdominal region?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Way worse than they had anticipated. So I think he's had it fixed twice.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And the second time supposedly was the supposed to be the one that fixed it. So.
But he had that one after he competed, after he lost to Sean Roden.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he had it, and then tried to start training again, and that's why he didn't compete the following year.
Oh, okay.
Because it went again, and he had to have another surgery.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. Don't quote me. I'm thinking.
Yeah.
I think that's what happened. I think he had 2 surgeries.
Okay.
Because the first one didn't work, or he retore it, or something happened.
Yeah.
So that's why he didn't compete.
Okay.
I don't think he didn't compete because he was angry or upset with the judges or the IFBB.
Right.
I think Phil knows if he's at his best, nobody's beating him. Period.
Right. Yeah.
Done. But
I asked that because I just had hernia surgery 2 weeks ago, and it was my second one too. Mine was in the middle of my abs, so they call it a ventral hernia. It's like right in the middle of your 2 upper abs.
Yeah.
So the first surgery I had last year, the guy just did an incision and he tried to stitch it up. It didn't work. So I've got a small scar there, but it's not really noticeable. But this year they went in with a robot and they put a mesh in, and I'm still in the process of healing, but I'm looking at my abs now and I'm wondering, are my abs going to look the same as they used to look? I was wondering if there's going to be something in the middle there. Can you see it? Is there going to be a bump there? Because especially after what I heard Phil went through. So I was asking what kind of surgery he had.
I'm not sure. I know it was serious. I know it was, but I know he's confident in that he can control it. And time will tell.
The $1 million question is how the ab's going to look, because I think everybody feels if he comes in, even if he came in looking like he did against Sean Roden, but if he had the abs, he probably would have beat Roden, don't you think?
Well, here's the thing with Phil. Phil never had this like svelte 6-pack perfect abs.
Right.
He's got like the 4-pack, and they were always a bit separated in the middle. Like that wasn't his strength, but having a tight midsection was.
Yeah.
As long as it's tight.
Before, right.
Yeah, he doesn't have to have a Sean Roden ab and thigh.
Right.
All it needs to be is tight and held in.
Yeah.
And, the obliques can't be bubbling over his trunks.
Right.
It can't be. He's got to go. That's why I always say, he's got to go back to a little bit of a lighter body weight where that's not an issue. And so, I think he's unbeatable.
If we're comparing him and Brandon, Brandon probably looks better standing there because of his structure. Probably looks better like in the front double and the front lat spread, which Phil's not his best poses. But then when we get to the side, especially when we get to the back, then that's when Phil is going to dominate. Yes.
If Phil fixes the midsection, then he's not going to have a problem with his front double anymore.
Right.
His front double was nuts for a long time.
Yeah, that's
It
true.
wasn't until his stomach, it was almost like he had to, he was crunching down in his abs to hold it from falling out.
Yeah, yeah.
So it changed the whole look of his front double. If he can just, open up and expand and hit it, he's going to be nuts. And he could win the front double over Brandon. As beautiful as Brandon's front double is. Because Phil's legs are absolutely crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
When I've seen a few shots at the Olympia where he's next to Rami, and you're not looking at Rami's legs, you're looking at Phil's.
Mm-hmm.
That tells you how crazy his legs are.
Yeah.
So if he's even close to 95%, no one can beat him.
Yeah.
But with that said, if he comes back even like he did when he lost to Sean, then and Brandon is his best, then Brandon's going to win.
Yeah.
Because it's a prettier, more aesthetic physique, who's equally almost just as big.
So what do you think about Brandon's mindset, though? I mean, he wins the Olympia, and after last year, a lot of people said he's not as good as he could have been, and he's not one of the best Mr. Olympia. So that had to affect him. Don't you think that made him hungrier for this year, where he's like, I'm going to show them, they don't think I'm worthy of this, and then that's going to create more of a desire to really make the improvements in his physique.
I've asked Brandon questions like that, and he's got an uncanny way of being like, what? No, man. He's like, I won the Olympia. I'm just excited that I won the Olympia. I don't care what anyone says.
Right.
I want to be my best. I want to go back and win again.
Mm-hmm.
But he don't listen to the negative nonsense.
Okay.
I asked him a question. I said, how did you feel when everyone was posting this picture of – there was a picture from the New York Pro, and Kai Green was next to Brandon.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
And it was from behind of Kai standing like this. And it looked morphed. It looked like Photoshopped. And I was like, were you upset? People were posting it every day. Like, look at this. This is crazy. And he's like, no, man. He's like, I was so excited. I got a picture on stage next to Kai Green. He just has a way of looking at things.
Right.
That it's unbelievable. He didn't even think of the possibility of that being a negative.
Right.
He's like, dude, you don't have a picture of you next to Kai Green on stage. Like, oh, that's a great point. That's a great way of looking at things.
Right.
That's why I love him. He's going to be, I wish him the best. I hope he can. I hope he can. That's so exciting to think about. I'm excited to see a comeback of Phil to show that he can get it fixed and come back. And I'm also excited for Brandon to repeat and to improve and show that he wasn't a one-trick pony and that he can still make improvements. He can still be number one in the world and still be hungry.
Yeah. And I think he is going to have a lot of improvements. Based on
I do too.
Yeah.
He's big, man. He put on a lot of muscle.
Yeah.
With the added muscle, if he matches the condition he had last year at the Arnold.
Yeah.
Or 2 years ago at the Arnold.
He made a good point, too, last year, because when people were criticizing his condition at the Olympia, he said the reason why he was a little bit off was because he did the Arnold. He won that. He beat Bonac. And then he said his body wanted to grow. And then he had to go back on a diet to get ready for the Olympia. But his body was like in the growing stages. So then they really had to push it. And then he came in a little flat or soft. Or he wasn't as good as he could have been. So he doesn't have that this year. He didn't do the Arnold, so he's going to get a full year of preparation. I think he's going to be much, much improved.
I do too. I can't wait to see it. Who do you have in third?
So who do you have? You got Phil there, right? You're going to pick Phil?
I have to say, just because Phil's Phil. Brandon never beat him before.
Right.
I don't think they've even been close before. But I mean,
coming to his own the last couple of years.
Yeah, Brandon is a whole different person now. But the sport really badly missed Phil Heath.
Yeah.
Because, for a long time, Phil was here and then there was everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
And if Phil can Phil can return to, I say, even 90% of when he was the best of the best, then he can still be the best of the best.
Mm-hmm.
There's no one there right now, other than Brandon. Brandon has the combination, but we've never seen a completely inside-out, bone-dry Brandon Curry.
Right.
Like the
Phil
way Phil gets.
Yeah.
If you did, then there's your new Olympia. If you have Brandon Curry with Phil's condition, then there's a winner, a 10-time winner.
Yeah. Yeah.
So third, I will have I'm going to have a few things that are going to mess you up here.
All right. Well,
third,
I just want to say, it looks like the next four guys, you got Bonac and Hadi, who was second and third last year. And then you've got Big Rami and Rolly. So you've got two mass monsters and then two smaller guys who got the conditioning. So I would say those four guys are going to be the next four places, right?
And I got one that's going to bump someone out of there.
Yeah.
You ready? Hunter Labrada.
Okay.
Hunter's going to come in and bump someone.
So Hunter's going to be in the top 6.
Out of the top 6. So Rami might end up in 7th or 8th because Hunter's going to bump him out. Or Rolly. Hunter is going to bump someone.
Yeah.
Because he now has the size and the shape and the condition, the aesthetics. All he's got to do is nail that condition. If he can be 3% better than when he won Tampa. Was it Tampa or New York? I get confused now.
I saw that one. I saw him.
If he can be a little drier, little bit drier than that, then that's going to be very hard to beat.
I agree. He's
that good.
Yeah.
He is big.
Yeah.
His legs are huge. He's missing nothing.
Right.
He's got arms, back, calves.
He's got a lot of similarities to his dad's physique. He's just gigantic compared to his dad.
He is gigantic. He reminds me a little bit of a gigantic Flex Lewis.
Yeah.
Very, very complete.
Yeah.
And top to bottom, side to side.
Great
got everything.
Great legs and arms.
Yeah. So I think he's going to bump someone.
So let's talk about Bonac. He was second last year. Do you think Hadi should have beat him last year?
I do.
Yeah, a lot of people think so.
I do. I think Hadi, it could have argued to have Hadi win.
Mm-hmm.
Just because he was so hard, so crazy hard condition. He was only shorter. He wasn't smaller.
Right.
They weren't bigger.
I think
great poser.
Brandon's overall structure, I think, is what beat him last year.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So if Hadi makes it over, there's still some debate about that. If Hadi makes it over, I think Hadi has a freak factor that a lot like Phil, that you cannot overlook it.
Yeah.
It just draws your eye to him.
Yeah.
When he's doing quarter turns, there is so much detail in his serratus and obliques and so much thick muscle, striated quads.
Yeah.
The only mark down you get is his mid-back when he's hitting like a rear double. That's his weakest pose, is the rear double. It's not that weak.
That's where I thought Bonac might have beat him last year in the back.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have given Bonac the rear lat spread, but just the rear double.
Yeah, the rear double, yeah.
Hadi, I thought Hadi beat him clearly.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly. Because Hadi's legs were crazy. Bonac's legs were down. He had an injury. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
But I do think Bonac is healed from that injury and has come back. He's showed some pictures where his legs did look.
He won the Arnold this year, right?
Yep. So it'll be interesting to see. So in order, I'm going to say Phil, Brandon, Hadi, Bonac, Hunter.
Hunter fifth.
Yeah.
Wow. And then what about
Rami
and Rolly? What do you think they're going to end up?
6 and 7.
Okay. They said
I hate this.
They said Rami's looking really lean in the face. Do you think that's gonna translate to a better Rami on stage?
I have no idea, because that photo could be from 2 years ago. Who knows?
Yeah, I know.
Who knows? There's so much game playing and inconsistency with what's really going on
right.
with Rami. There's never any full disclosure on, you know.
And, you know, when you think about Rami, how long he's been in the Olympia, he was in the Olympia when Jay was still competing. So he's been in
2013.
Yeah, 7 years.
2013. That's 7 years.
Right.
And he's had more than enough opportunities to nail it.
Yeah, he got second to Phil that 1 year. That was his best, I think, right? It's closest he came to winning the Olympia.
Yeah. He certainly deserves to be up there in the conversation, but you start to get a little, you know, are the judges getting sick of it? The same old thing?
Yeah, right.
Like, yeah, we know you're big, but let's change your name to Shredded Rami instead of Big Rami.
Right.
You know?
And what about Rolly?
Rolly, I absolutely.
Some freaky physique or freaky pictures lately.
Yeah, I love him.
Yeah, I think everybody does. His physique is crazy.
I love Rami too. These guys are some awesome people and awesome physiques. I don't know at what stage age can start making a factor, you know. Rolly's another one that had an injury, like a knee injury last year.
Yeah.
So is that recovered? I know as a later stage bodybuilder, you start getting knee injuries.
Yeah.
They're not healing.
They always come back.
You're learning to train around that injury. It's not going away.
Right.
And by train around it, I mean no more squatting 700 pounds.
Yeah.
You know, now it's hack squats and leg presses, and it just changes the whole look of your physique.
Yeah.
So, you know, we'll see. He's another one. I hope that he proves me wrong and comes back. Rolly's not young. I'm going to guess he's 43, 44.
Wow.
He's not young. He's only a few years younger than me.
We're all getting older.
Yeah. And, you know, Father Time kicks everyone's ass. And, you know, you start catching these injuries. He's still going to have the biggest arms on stage. No question.
Yeah.
But, you know, can he tie it all together? Is he going to nail it? Is he going to pull that vacuum again?
Right.
Where he showed up one year with the best waist, with the, you know.
I think it was 2 years ago. 2 years ago.
Yeah. Craziest, front stance when he was like this,
yeah.
Unbelievable. His legs were still a little fuller.
Yeah.
And,
yeah, that was 2 years ago when Sean beat Phil, and then Rolly was in third.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I hope, and I hope he is. He's that would be awesome to see.
Yeah, but what you said about the injuries and stuff, I kind of agree with you. I think he'll probably be maybe out of that top 6, and then you got the younger Labrada coming in and surprising everybody, and he'll make that top 6 or top 5.
And you know, as a historian, being around bodybuilding long enough, that they're dying for a good story, and a good story always makes its way in there. So if he does enough, Hunter does enough improvements to be conditioned better than he's been, he's going to bump a big name, very big name, and solidify his name in the annals of bodybuilding.
Right. And he's had a lot of time to make improvements too, right, Jose? Because Tampa was August.
29?
Yeah, but I mean, in the time between the Tampa Pro and the Olympia.
Oh, yeah.
The Olympia wasn't in September, so now he's had a few more months to maybe put on a little more size and really hit his conditioning.
For sure.
Yeah.
But I don't think he needed much size. He posted a picture a week ago or 2 weeks ago, less than 2 weeks ago. He was 276. Shredded. 276.
Damn.
his weight fluctuates like 9 to 11 pounds in a day. You know, he was 276 at night, and then after cardio, he was 267. You know, it was crazy.
What was he for the Tampa?
I want to say low to 250s, 251, 250.
Yeah, I thought he was like high 240s. Man, that's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, so he's expecting to be, I saw an interview somewhere between 252 and 255.
Yeah, wow.
On stage.
Yeah.
You know, that's huge.
Yeah, that is.
You
That's
know?
Unbelievable. And speaking of posing, he's got all the potential in the world to be a great poser.
He's incredible. He's going to be great. We got Ian Valliere.
Yeah.
I think Ian's going to probably end up somewhere in that 8 spot.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
And there's some guys. I mean, this year it's more about who's not doing it than who's doing it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Flex Lewis obviously is not doing it.
That was a big loss.
Yeah, and what's his Cedric?
Oh yeah.
Cedric got an injury. Raphael Brandao.
Yeah.
James Hollingshead. You know, there's so many really good quality guys.
Yeah, all those guys could have been top 6 for sure.
Yeah, that aren't doing it. And then some guys that didn't even qualify, like who we were talking about earlier. He was working with Labrada. Who did you say Labrada was?
Patrick Moore.
Patrick Moore. Yes.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, Patrick. He's another guy. He didn't even qualify. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. Yeah, that guy's got a great physique for the future, for sure.
Yeah. I'm sure there's another name that we're missing who's very good. But those are the names that jump out right away.
Yeah, I agree. I think I'm actually thinking I'm going with Brandon, but just because I don't know, I think maybe that 2-year layoff is going to hurt Phil, but I might be wrong. You know, I probably am wrong, but we'll see. But I'd love to see Brandon win it again, especially if he's the new champion and he's hungry and he's got.
I would too.
Yeah, I know you.
I would too.
Friends with him.
I'm just saying, if I had to bet.
Yeah, I know. I agree.
If I had to bet, I just think Phil, and Phil's a young. What is he? 40, 41?
Yeah, early 40s.
You know, I hit my peak at 41.
Mm-hmm.
I won the Arnold at 41. I was second at the Olympia at 41.
Wow, really? Okay.
You know, so and Phil, I think is a very youthful 41.
Yeah.
So he can. I think not only can he be great, he can be his greatest.
Yeah.
After a layoff, of rest, and mentally, you know, refocus and
mm-hmm.
his stomach taken care of. That is the only wild card in this whole show.
Yep.
Is Phil's stomach really fixed?
Right.
Can he pose the way he has to pose?
And you know everybody's going to be looking at it. I mean, it's going to be the, you know.
Yeah. Like I said, I don't think he needs to have a great ab and thigh. He's just got to be able to hit a front lat spread, front double.
Yeah. It just can't be
a side chest is crazy.
Right.
Side tricep. If he's able to hit those in a rear double, it's game over.
Yeah.
You know, he can concede the ab and thigh. And just smoke every other pose.
You going with Hadi in third?
I am.
Bonac fourth?
Yep.
And then Hunter fifth?
Yep. How's that?
Yeah, that sounds like a good top 5. I kind of agree with that. And then probably Big Ramy in sixth.
Yep.
What about
Big
Dexter?
Ramy, that's where it gets crazy. I just said that. I go, we're probably missing a big name. The biggest name. You know, that's where it gets really tough. Because let's see. I mean,
he's going to be the sentimental favorite, too. 50 years old, his last Olympia, former Mr. Olympia, and he's in Florida.
Yeah. What they're going to do is like an 8-man call-out.
Yeah, right.
And Dexter will be in it. And then they'll probably send Hottie, Phil, and Brandon back in line. Well, Hottie, Phil, Brandon, and Bonac back in line.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll leave Dexter, Rami, Hunter, and Rolly out in the middle.
Right.
That's exactly what they're going to do. They're going to do an 8-man call-out. They're going to put Phil, Brandon, Hottie, and Bonac back in line. After they'll run through a quick round and throw them back in line. And then they'll really look at.
You think they would do an 8-man pose down to include Dexter in the pose down?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Well, I think they'll bring him out by himself and give him
he's gonna get
curtain
a ovation. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and then
he deserves.
He deserves anything they do for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so interesting, but who knows? You know, if one of those guys, if Rolly is off again, and Big Rami is off again, because this year when Bonac won the Arnold, was Dexter third or second? Did he beat Rami?
Yeah, Rami got third.
All right, well there you go.
Yeah.
So Dexter could beat Rami again.
Right.
Which means he could beat Rolly again.
Yeah.
So now you might have Rami and Rolly in 7th and 8th.
And Dexter in 6th.
Right.
Yeah.
That's how crazy this is.
Right. Yeah, we're kind of underestimating Dexter, but if Rolly and Rami are off, which they have a tendency to be,
right,
Dexter could make top 6.
Right.
Which would be perfect, for his ending. That'd be a perfect ending for him.
Yeah. How exciting would it have been to have Flex Lewis in there?
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. A lot of people were looking forward to that.
Yeah. Yeah. I was.
He was too. I mean, he trained all year for it. Well, it was 2 years. 2 years of training, right? Because he didn't get after. Yeah.
Well, now he's got another one.
Yeah.
He'll be ready to go. There'll be a couple guys moved out of the way by then. That's good.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be an exciting Olympia, that's for sure.
Yep. I'm sorry if I didn't mention anyone's names because it's getting late here, and I'm. This was off the cuff. That's what we should call it. John's. No script, just off the cuff.
Right.
That's more real anyway. People want to hear your real opinion, not something you wrote down.
Yeah.
Or read off the internet.
Right. No, I think we were right on the money for most of our predictions, so we'll see how it plays out. So we look at 3 weeks left to the Olympia, and you won't be there, right, Jose?
As of right now, no. Crazier things have happened. I may be able to find a way down, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm going to say no for now.
Yeah. Well, I hope anyone who doesn't make it out there will watch it on pay-per-view. And
I'll be watching.
Great event. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It's only like $50 for the whole weekend, so it's not bad,
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. Well, I'll be there.
I paid that back in 2003. I had a party at my house.
Really?
Yeah, and Ronnie Coleman walked out, and I was like trying to fix the screen. I'm like, "What's wrong with this TV?" Remember that? Ronnie came out at 287. Like,
right. He didn't fit on the
there's
TV.
something wrong with my TV. I'm hitting the side of the TV. It's crazy.
I did the same thing. I was watching it back then too at my house. Yeah.
Yeah. Because everyone looked huge, and then Ronnie took up the whole screen. I'm like, something just happened. What just happened?
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
I've never seen a human like that.
287. I mean, here we are, 17 years later. It's still amazing.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
All right. Well, thanks for having me, John. I appreciate it.
Thanks for coming on, Jose. It's been a pleasure talking to you, and I've been trying to get you on the show for a while, so we finally got you back on. And you've got your own podcast now called The Boston Mass, right?
Yeah. It's been fun. We do some interviews. We do a lot of shenanigans. We go and check out a lot of the local gyms and try to promote the mom and pop gyms in the area.
Oh, cool.
Because they're all getting eaten alive by commercial gyms.
Yeah.
And, we're doing a lot of fun stuff. It's not just the podcast. We have the podcast, but it's a whole bunch of stuff we're doing. We're just putting up tons of content. So
yeah.
Well, I'll come on afterwards and we'll break it down.
Yeah, that sounds great. That sounds great.
Give you see how much of our predictions were off and on, and how much of a jackass I look like after my predictions.
All right, and I'll give you the bird's eye view because I'll be out there, so I'll let you know what went down out there.
Okay, buddy.
All right, thanks again, Jose.
You got it, brother.
All right, we'll talk to you soon, buddy.
See ya.